What's up, everybody? This is Harsh, and you're listening to the Legit Podcast. In today's episode, I talked to Drishti Medhi, co-founder and chief operating officer of QuickGhy Guwahati. Drishti is one of the finest women entrepreneurs of Assam, and through the years she has inspired many to pursue their dreams. So if you're looking for advice on starting your own business, get ready. It's time to hear some words of wisdom from Drishti.
Okay. Yes. Hi. Finally. Last time a blunder episode, all of embarrassment, whole that episode. I was dwelling over it, and finally, okay, it's happening. Okay. Also, apparently, I figured that Zoom is only allowing 40 minutes now for me, and I have no clue why. Because it used to go for an hour or so.
I think it's the 45 limit or something. On Zoom.
But I got one, so I hope but even if it happens, so to be on the safer side, we'll try to keep it around 35-40 minutes. Also, it'll be an experiment with the type of content, because patience last okay, so we'll start fresh. Okay, great.
Sure.
So let's start again with QuickGhy's Inception. Drishti.
Right. So QuickGhy was started back in 2019, June of 2019. So we'll actually be turning 3 this year. And it started with a very small instance of not finding lumber that was needed in our own home.
Right.
And so this actually happened back in 2017 when my elder brother sort of got into this situation of not getting the plumber on time, and he thought that to keep an opportunity as in nearby, can I just go around and ask people to understand if there's any such opportunity. So we started very small from our own locality, from our own circle of friends and family, and he decided that this is something that I should probably run an experiment with. And this was not about starting a startup. It was just about trying to figure out a solution. So 2017 when he just was doing the market survey, trying to understand the need, the customers, everything, trying to get the validation of the problem. Eventually that led to trying to figure out that maybe this is something we would want to work on. And I was still in my pursuing my engineering. So engineering on last year, in my final year, I thought that maybe I should just help him out with structuring everything and putting into place while starting the startup.
Right.
So because he had already sort of gotten into the market and got the business running, and now he needed to put the foundation in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I came in, in 2019, and June of 2019, officially we launched it as QuickGhy as a brand that was catering to the requirement of services when it came to home care, personal care, industrial maintenance. And we were essentially focused on working with the blue collar sector people and, empowering them by building an easy market access. So this is how QuickGhy was, formed back in 2019.
Right. Okay. So I just wanted to ask something more. More friends he and his sister, they had they started an apparel brand. But again, the brand shut and it hit a very rock bottom. And I asked why. And the reason was a little weird, because moi actually expect no, they had a clash. Do you think when you start something with someone from the family, there are chances of it, and even if there are chances, can I cope but can I manage that jate startup to effect na hoy, everything goes smooth and fine?
So I'll answer this from the perspective of a founder-co-founder relationship, right? Especially when you are looking at the perspective of building a startup.
Right.
Your first, apart from everything else that's required, I think the team plays a very crucial role
Of course.
till the time growth stage or like a startup to going up, because this is the team who's responsible for working on the idea,
Okay.
taking the idea to the market, taking it to the validation stage, and tapasot growth stage or pasot details,
Right.
things sort of fall
Right.
into the automation phase, right? So that's why it's very, very crucial. Now, this founder co-founder relationship is also very important because they are the ones who lay the foundation of the company.
Right.
And this is sort of a debate that always goes on. Even on social media, you'll still hear people talking, how do you find the right co-founder?
Exactly.
And honestly, at this point, I don't think I'm the right person to answer how do you find the right co-founder, because for me it sort of just fell into place. Like I said,
Right.
I was in my engineering final year,
Right.
and from third year onwards my plan was completely different. It was not to pursue entrepreneurship. I already had different plans. And honestly, I sometimes think of myself as an accidental entrepreneur because it fell into my lap. It's something like that, because the pandemic happened.
Correct.
And I was like, this is an opportunity. Maybe I should pursue. And things were honestly falling into place for me. And that's why it eventually worked out. And that's how I joined. But talking in terms of this founder co-founder relationship, and especially in terms of if that is a hindrance, if it's someone you're working with in the family, keeping apart from the fact that you might be working with someone from the family, which already gives you an edge that you might have the trust factor really strong because, hey, it's the family, right? Maintaining a certain level of professionalism is also very important, because that also imparts the sense of responsibility in both the founder and the co-founder.
Right.
So until and unless he clarity and that vision to the initial stage of that initial understanding of how things work and how professionally things have to be laid down in ensure to avoid conflicts in the near future. I think it's very important that maybe a little bit of experience from both the people in terms of either work experience or anything, maybe if they have had experience, leadership, opportunities or hope, if they've done something, because those things really teach you the sense of responsibility and understanding how to handle conflicts. So I think that's really important, despite the fact whether or not you're working with a family or anyone else as your co-founder. So I think these are important small traits that you just don't get to read, but yeah, it's important.
Yeah. So the way I think of it is, if I happen to, come into step into your shoes or something, the way I think of it is I would have a very genuine conversation upfront and go for a switch. It's like switch on, this is like the work mode, we are done with the work, switch up and we are back to the siblings mode. Do you think something of this sort works?
Oh, it works in theory.
It works in theory, right?
Because there's a very fine line to that, right? Especially if you live together as well, maybe that would be even more difficult.
And suddenly someone's like,
and I think conflict resolution at my mom has been like very crucial in figuring things out. So we've also grown as co-founders in the last 2 years.
Right, so, right, of course. Okay, so there's one more thing I wanted to ask is like everybody is running behind entrepreneurship. everybody sabko sobe entrepreneur hobo soboke your business lage. But moi bhabi asu je ye gute bubble tur majot no 9 to 5 job or value to olop kom hoy goise, because I have seen a lot of people in 9 to 5 solving major problems and making crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
So I'll own a business, I'll start a business, I'll make I'll go bomb with the money and everything. But and I got to know how 9 to 5 is like less valuable or something. It's like what belek ke treat ko hai. What's your take on this?
So see, the thing that you've just mentioned, that everybody is running after entrepreneurship, there are several things that contributes into it, right? Especially the ecosystem to thrive. And you see major publishing houses, major media houses trying to focus on the good part of entrepreneurship and how people are raising funds, people are building these unicorn companies, how much opportunities that you have in the ecosystem, etc. So also sort of tends to influence people the way they think, right? So there is that. However, I also don't believe in the fact that, you can compare entrepreneurship and a 9-to-5 job straight away like that. Because yes, there are people and there are amazing people, especially in the 9-to-5 job, who have done incredible, remarkable work in their own field, probably have led projects, probably have done far more impactful work in their own domain of expertise. Could be tech, could be non-tech background or anything. However, one of the most important things that I have realized, and this is also something that was mentioned to me once when I was part of this program in Delhi earlier this year, one of the program directors had mentioned that, if you were in entrepreneurship, especially, majorly entrepreneurship or because of the money, because of how much money you make and kiman profits to me generate Korea, you would have probably, given up, given the fact the number of hours you actually invest. Because this is not something that you are thinking, especially when you're awake. Probably when you go to bed, you are also trying to think that whether or not your problem is making sense. And so many, there are multitude of things going on, right? So you do not do this only for the sake of money, but you have, far more other reasons that are attached to it. It could be the impact that you're trying to create in the grassroots. You are probably trying to create a better, easier solution for the people or the community around you, and you are trying to solve that problem at a very fundamental stage, whether or not money is coming in. That's a part of it. So there's the thing about entrepreneurship and the 9-to-5 job. So I think this will continue. Correct. Lagile manuhe influence hobo because of what they read, see and hear. Right. But that's the thing. You need to understand the major difference of these two different sectors. Right.
More mane majore bahut moi to agote keneকুৱা আছিল no that I have to start something of my own. Nezanu kiyo, but I always wanted.
Yeah.
YouTube jao kiba kibi sai thako, but slowly, all of realization hol je etu all toxic ho goise. Entrepreneurship or idea to all of bahute biki ase that this is the lifestyle. Like, look at the lifestyle. What are you doing at 9 to job? I mean, a hustle culture to both toxic hoye goise. So being an entrepreneur yourself, how much hustle is enough hustle?
I think till the point that your venture or your idea has not gotten to market validation. Market validation is basically you do not have a like paying customer, basically customer who pays you for the idea or the service or the product that you're selling. Till that point, it makes sense, right? You are doing multiple of things that make sense. You are taking calls on every decision in the company, like micromanaging or everything you're doing, that's okay. But beyond that point, if you are trying to do everything on your own, you will see that Kitiaba, you will fall short on business, like sales, or you will fall short. Sometimes you will fall short on tech. Sometimes you will fall short on some other aspect in your company. And you cannot afford to do that once you reach that stage, because at a stage of password, you will start thinking about how you can generate more revenue, whether or not you're making profits. And that is how eventually the stages, keep progressing throughout the journey. So there's that when it comes to hustle regarding your venture, right? And especially being an entrepreneur, I think it comes sort of inbuilt to you that you become obsessed with your idea, which is also not okay, because if you become obsessed, you will also tend to overlook certain things, certain limitations or challenges that that might be just very prevalent in front of you. So that hustle culture is not it's like I said, you will see, hear and experience a lot of things, but you will need to understand where your boundaries are, having these clear boundaries and understanding what is positively impacting you and whether or not it is influencing you into becoming a better person tomorrow, and what you achieve to strive to be in the next day. So those are like really important things to understand, especially with and it's tough. I know it's better, it's easy to give all this gyan and everything, but it's like really tough.
Right. Again, talking of toxicity, there's again, everybody is dropping out of college because they want to build something. Why everyone is dropping out of college? Why can't we just, get our degrees and keep it as something, as a backup? Because Kali judi moor nosolile, moor bole iku nosolile Kali, at least I have something that will help me ki, chalo, let's try getting a job. Maybe again, episode 2 bosor moi kaam karim, I'll save something and maybe I can try this. Do you think this is a good option, or what's your thought? I mean, কাৰণ বহুত দেখি আছো, every এটা যদি মই দেখো post যে I dropped out of college, everybody wants to drop out of college. I mean, সবৰে একে নহয়. Just because his thing work out doesn't mean your thing will work out. Maybe you should have a different approach to it. That's what I think. You're saying?
So I will give a very so I'll be real in this answer, okay?
Please.
As a person, I am very spontaneous in terms of everything. Like that's how I live my life.
Okay.
But when it comes to this about why students are dropping out, so I'm not sure. I haven't exactly gone through the data. More exactly check koranai what is the percentage of students dropping out. So, but since you're saying that like around you, there's a lot of people doing this. It might be one of the two things, right? Again, one of the things could be bahut influence hoise, seeing these people from who have dropped out and been successful, which is good. They're taking positive inspiration from that. Second, they might not be aligned with the career path that they were probably thinking initially, not, and it might not be working out for them. So it could be either of the two things. Now, if these people are dropping out of college because they want to become like really successful in the entrepreneurial career, great, they have the inspiration, amazing. Please do work on your idea or whatever that you want to pursue. But here's the thing, what I believe is tumar risk lobo para capacity kiman ase, what is the appetite that you have
to this.
Yeah. Like I said, I am spontaneous in the way I live everything, but maybe at one point even I do decide to take like calculated risk. Now this is not something, it might not be very pleasant to hear, but these are like factors that do determine, right? Because again, talent is everywhere, opportunities are not, right? Say you come from a tier 2 or 3 institution, your probability of getting access to immediate, I'm saying immediate, not saying like long term or but immediate resources or opportunities might be a little less than someone belonging from a premier college. Same goes to you belonging to a tier 2 or 3 city versus someone from a premier city. Again, this is a little bit debatable because internet ase, and in this age we can get connected to people. Right. But again, in this aspect, there is the factor of time. Someone from a premier college or a premier city versus someone from a tier 2 and 3 city or a tier 2 and 3 college might have, lesser, their access of getting, opportunities or potential resources. Junwan kini time lagibo might be, a premier colleges or all of man immediate circle of pai jabo, but ihotor time besi lagi jabo. And in that time, is that something you can invest? Is that something that you can actually take the risk for? Second, talking about the monetary aspect of things, how much can you invest to sustain yourself, right? Till the time you hit that revenue generation, jodi business or kotha koisu naiba solibo karne. Third, do you have the mental support or the the environment that you really need to sustain through the entire journey? Because it is going to get lonely, it is going to get very tough. Does your environment support that? So again, these are calculated risks that you take. So if someone has already done their research and done their homework and are prepared, I think that's well and good. But in terms of this, like ekdam spontaneously going through life and just going with the flow, if somebody has cracked it, well and good for them, but for me, I wouldn't know.
correct. Even I would say that. I mean, more to even I had, sort of ever strike korisile college. Let's, just drop and let's do something. But again, more basi calculate kori ifale sao options ki ase. So I remember it was third year. তেতিয়া মই মানে অলপ চিন্তা কৰিছো, no, let's just finish it off, then I'll see like how I can move ahead. So এটা তো ভুল চাকৰিতে সোমালো পাছ আউট হৈ, কাৰণ পাছ হলো মানুহবোৰে কি কব, ইঞ্জিনিয়াৰিং পাছ কৰিলে একো কৰাই নাই, সেইকাৰণে লেটস অলপ সোসাইটিৰ কাৰণে এটা ভুল চাকৰিত সোমালো, তাৰ পৰা এবস্কন্ড হৈ গলো, then moved to Bangalore, then it all started. Okay, so there's a very one, I'm very curious about this thing. For example, I decide to build a startup. So I am the solo founder, but I have managed to, hire 2-3 people, and it's a team of 4 or 5. How much salary should one take as a founder or a CEO? Edu keneke calculate hoy? Does it come from inside ki nohoy moi besi lagisu, I should get the, basic paisa to mok lage, baki ji base company, then the employees? How does it work? Because loop lage dekhile je is moi kiman rakhu,
মই ইমান কষ্ট কৰি আছো, why am I not getting paid?
ha paile to sob kam nije korim, kakui konilu.
But then it also depends on your সেই ষ্টেজত আপোনাৰ ফাইনেন্সিয়েল to কেনেকুৱা হৈ আছে company, whether or not you have enough cash flow, whether or not the venture is generating revenue, whether or not you're in profit. So my answer is going to be, on the basis that, hey, at that point, how the finances are looking, and on the based on those finances, I think you should decide what amount of salary you should take. So it completely depends on the finances of the company at that very stage.
Okay.
Because there have been instances in and around me, in colleagues or like in the ecosystem, like sometimes it does happen. Like sometimes you just sacrifice on your own salary and try to invest in other thing because you want the company to grow.
Of course.
It's good till one point, but beyond that, it sort of does affect the finances of the company. So yeah.
Correct. So moi the first podcast to shoot pushlu Rahul logot, so I had this conversation around funding. So I asked whether he's a pro funding guy or bootstrap one. Which one are you? Also, is it really necessary for any startup to seek funding, or it can sustain very well as a bootstrap, just like Zerodha?
I think it depends on the journey of the startup to understand whether or not bootstrapped is good or funding is, getting funded is good. I think again that is a debatable topic, right?
Correct.
Because there has been companies like you mentioned, Zerodha, and few more companies that have done really well being bootstrapped. They were able to sustain, but sometimes you might be in need of additional funds to, especially kisuman product based startup or R&D অলপমান খৰচ বেছি হৈ যায় from the working capital that they might have. And few more other sectors that they might want to invest in, and that is why they might be raising funding. So I think it all depends on the category and the stage that a startup is in, whether or not it's bootstrapped. But as if you're able to sustain without additional funding coming in, you're generating enough revenue, you are making profits, and you're able to sustain yourself, your team, and the venture, bootstrap, well and good. Otherwise, maybe you have to seek additional funding. And talking about whether we are bootstrapped or we are pro funding is not something that I associate with, but yes, we are funded. We were bootstrapped till late 2021. We got funded this year, early this year. So I guess
do investors pound, I mean, where's my profit?
Do investors, sorry, what did you
say? Do
say?
investors pound on you? I mean, where's my profit? Kenekwa choli ase, ki choli ase? কিমান মানে সেই প্ৰেছাৰটো কেনেকুৱা?
It depends on what kind of in what financial instrument use kori pale the investment has been done in your company, and where are you raising from, and it all depends on that. But I think so far so about like whether investors trouble you asking for where's my profits and blah blah blah. So you as a founder also need to realize that
Correct.
you are raising funds from someone else. That also
Right.
should give you the sense of responsibility that monthly mahe tumiu report dibo lagibo company
Right.
kenekwa choli ase, kiman profits ahi ase. So it's not about them putting additional pressure. It's also about your sense of responsibility. Like,
Correct.
you have to give the report because hey, you have raised funds from someone else. You will after one point you will start talking about profits and the returns that they will
Correct.
seek from the investment.
Okay, got it. So it's been কেদিনমান হে কৈছো, I mean বছৰ হ'ব হ'ল অসমত startups actually বাঢ়ি আছে, and the culture is a little on a spike. But again, ক'বাত নহয় ক'বাত কিছুমান void এতিয়াও আছে. One void মই last podcast discuss কৰিছিলো was the conversation. So there are youths, ভাল শুনক বেয়া শুনক, I have to say it because ল'ৰা ছোৱালী কিছুমান আড্ডা বহে বুলি, I believe evening আড্ডাটোৰ conversationটো বহুত matter কৰে. কাৰণ ইভিনিং আড্ডাত যদি মই সদায় এইটোৱে কথা পাতি আছো যে কাইলে মালটো ক'ত খামগে, it's not happening. I mean, and that conversation is, I hear productive conversation to nahi hua. That's what I believe. Hetu, if there is something we can do to bring that change, is one thing is awareness by talking more about it on media. And hetu to hoye ase baro, and there are many other podcasts or many other channels, news channels, shows that are trying to bring entrepreneurs out and making people aware of it. Aru ki void ase henekwa? What voids do you think are there that still needs to be filled?
When an ecosystem is thriving, right? Like you said, that there has been like intense growth. And if you actually check the data, DPIT recognized startup from the entire Northeast, I think currently stands at a number of about like 697 or somewhere near about 700, like entire Northeast. And Assam is one of the leading.
Right.
When it comes to the DPIT recognized startup, right? So I think the numbers clearly depicts kiman kini lora soli aguai ahise nijor venture start koribo karone. Despite having the increasing number of startups in the region, the void that you said, that community to keneke build kora hoy so that people start having more productive conversation. I think another void is now this is something that I'm really vocal about, and something that I'm also very passionate about is having more women leaders in this space. Talk about their journey, talk about how to tap into these opportunities, and also ensure how can they use their voice to influence and create opportunities for perhaps younger girls.
Right.
Because again, this goes back to something that I mentioned earlier. Jetya it's a tier 2 and 3 cities versus the metro cities, access to resources, access to opportunities, access to suppose something as fundamental as financial literacy, or something as basic as acquiring the leadership traits, which is very important while you're in an entrepreneurial journey, is something that I feel is a void that is definitely there in our community.
Right.
Another thing is I think skill acquire korar, something that is very basic is soft skill and communication. Not ami definitely olopan pispori asu. And how do you again build those gaps, right? I think there are enough startups working in that, and I'm like, I will not mention the startup right now, but I already know few people ohomor hoy, they are Assamese people who are tapping into this sector and trying to build market opportunity in especially building the soft skills and communication and internship resources especially for the kids around Northeast. And I think that's really exciting. But mindset shift, okol media publications, okol articles and events of nohobo.
Right.
It also happens on a very small scale, especially suppose in a room full of people, if you are not talking about opportunities, if you are not talking about access to different resources and the perhaps the sectors that somebody can start off with, what level of conversation are you having? So how do you change that? You have to understand how can you influence people. I think I know some amazing, you as an example, you're starting the podcast that will definitely have an influence on a certain set of people who are watching your content. It is social media, Instagram khub besi use kore sobe. Can we use that as a tool to create conversations around this? But we also have to make sure how to make these conversations fun and entertaining.
Right.
So, hey, creativity aspect to definitely improve hobo lage, communication skills improve hobo lage, access to opportunities for young women to acquire, traits of leadership, and also access to financial literacy. Khub bahut dorkar. That there's a huge void there. I think financial literacy is something that's really required.
Bahut important, and I'm actually hoping, more to iman more gyan nai financial, but I'm actually hoping bohi ki kunbai ahi olop financial kotha kopsun. I really want to watch some, Assamese content on it. Kedia mane mon jaisa bole je kunbai QSSD bhale. Okay, so kediman agot I just shared a thought on LinkedIn. People are talking about networking. Of course, networking is important. It's very important. But nobody is, like you said, it is very important to have skills. Karon moi jodi ekhota manuhok chini pao aru jodi moi kaam najano, why would they refer me to a job? Why would they give me an opportunity? What's the point of that networking jodi moi kaam eta najano? So is I mean etu tomar logot same thought ne? I mean with you,
if you are
how to balance it? If I have to put it in a simple manner, how to balance this is your networking thing and this is your learning skills thing.
If you are adding people into your network, especially in LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or anywhere on Twitter, just because you are focusing on numbers, that's something like a vague approach to your network, because
it's like
quality against quantity, right? There's one thing. So another was suppose, say for example, you're someone who has made a lot of progress in the tech field and I am a newbie and I have no idea, but I will still add you to understand what you are posting, to understand the content and consume the content that you are posting, maybe to understand the different things that are new that I want to learn. And then maybe I will start working on it, and after one stage, perhaps 6 months from now, jodi moi hetu skill acquire korisu, maybe then I'll be able to reach out, send you my resume saying that, hey, this is an exciting project that I'm working in, and I've been consuming your content in the last 6 months, and it has been really influential and helpful for me. Could you please refer me to someone in your network? So this could be one way of you leveraging that resource. But jodi tumi ene just numbers bahabo karane you're not having any fruitful conversation with them to start off, and you are not even acquiring these skills that are required for you to grow in your journey. It's completely useless.
Okay, so we'll have 2 more questions. So a content mostly amar manhok kane june sab. So I am someone from Guwahati. I don't have knowledge about the startup space, but most of the ideas then I meet you. What would be your advice on that idea? How should I go about it? What's the first step? I mean, if you can give me 3-4 steps, or if you can give me all of my path to idea, then I can maybe execute on it. Could you help me with that?
So the first 3 crucial steps would be Juntu problem that you are working on. Is that problem really a problem in the society, and will there be people, because you're going to build a business, so will there be people willing to pay for your idea, for the service or the product that you're working on? How do you go about it? Is we understand the product market fit, or basically the market validation. where you are going to go and speak to either your friends, family. Again, this is like the least of importance because they might be a little bit nice and tell you that, okay, this might work. But then you also do this market research on a certain number of, people. Jiman data kini jiman diverse, so it's better. But you try and understand and talk to a lot of people, talk to your potential customers, to understand whether or not this is a need, and see if it's a product. Jodi prototype to dekhai pele, you can ask them certain set of questions. Interviews, there are certain interviews that you actually conduct to understand the market validation. Do your primary research, do your secondary research, try to understand the market validation. And if you have crossed that stage, the immediate step would be to register yourself as a startup. Ajikali, Startup India is already there. Right. You can go online, Startup India, you can register. You will have to be a recognized company like LLP, private limited proprietorship firm, etc. You can look that up on the Startup India website, get yourself registered. For once you're a recognized startup, post that you get access to different schemes or benefits in Startup India under schemes and benefits over different competitions where you can pitch different grant opportunities, naiba funding opportunities. And if you're from Guwahati, Assam Startup is already there. Incubation Center, which is under government of Assam. Incubation centers are responsibility to help you work on your idea from the ideation stage and get it to the market validation. Post that, tomar business jate solibo pare. So Assam Startup is one of the incubation centers where you can definitely apply for incubation. They have a certain application process, which you will be able to understand if you follow them on their social media. And that's essentially where you go about it. So identify your idea, get to the market validation, try and understand where your incubation facilities would be more, easy for you to get access to, then apply for incubation. It really helps.
Okay, perfect. That was very smooth and nice and very detailed. Thank you. Okay, last thing. How much of a toll it takes on your mental health when you start something of your own? And
I think a lot.
And the conversation that you need to have with people.
I think it definitely does take a toll on your mental health because given the hustle culture that's around you, given how much milestones that you have to, catch on as a startup, you as an entrepreneur, whether or not you're doing enough, it's very crucial to understand that having a very good support group, it could be your friends, it could be your families, it could be a community from the ecosystem, is extremely important as a founder, because no matter what, it will get the journey does get lonely at one point. Perhaps like after a certain point, it's like, okay, but yes, it does get really, really lonely. And sometimes the toll on your mental health, sometimes it does get to a point that it just gets bad. So having those conversations with the people that you really trust, the close-knit community that makes you feel good, because hey, at the end of the day, you're a human too. You might also would want to feel good. You might want to just experience things which are not related to your work. So have very clear boundaries on your perhaps working hours. Have very clear boundaries of what you can do, cannot do. Have very clear expectations from both yourself and your team. And the one thing that you can do is, have these audits in your life in every sector. Right. When I say auditing your life, doesn't necessarily mean auditing your only finances. It also means auditing your physical health, your mental health, the people around you, the things that you're consuming, the things that you're hearing, seeing, experiencing, the places that you go to. Everything really does affect you. So the one thing that you can clearly do as a founder is, audit your life every single day. Something is not working out. Okay, fine. Move on to the next thing. That is why you've chosen this journey. Right. It'll just make it easier for you. So yeah.
Right.
That's how.
Right. Also, last thing. If any Juri Kunma Mag Bapeke, it was I also want them to know something. Mag Bapeke can help you in a situation. If their daughter has, wants, started her journey as an entrepreneur.
Two things. আমি to initially সবে ভাবো কি পয়সা না থাকিলে কেনেকে start কৰিম, which is very real, okay. আমি first fund to perhaps friends of family পৰাই উঠাও, the initial capital সৰু যি amount নহওক. And I'm not saying that that's the only thing. Your parents can help you. Your parents can be, and one of the most, I think, very important, like intense pillar hoy in your journey of entrepreneurship.
Right.
Because they can support you mentally, they can support you just by being there, because sometimes you just want someone to be there and listen and just be supportive in what you're doing. So just have faith in perhaps sometimes having this unwavering faith in your own kids might really, really help them to believe in their dreams and go further in their journey, because this
correct. Perfect.
Yeah,
great.
That's how it helps.
And yes, you mentioned one thing in the beginning, that entrepreneurship or bostu to ahi pini just tomar lapot pori gol. I want to add something on this. Okay, you have become an accidental entrepreneur.
Accidental.
Even though you have become an accidental entrepreneur, but you have taken it to a very amazing level and you're doing fantastic. I really want to appreciate this. It's very important.
I think we all try every day.
You have just mentioned that you got it, but you are actually making great strides, and I keep following your posts and everything, and it's really nice. Amazing.
And I hope and believe, and I'm very optimistic that tomorrow podcast too will definitely reach more people in Assam.
Thank you so much.
Ohomia community jihetu inspire koribo karne to pursue entrepreneurship. And I'm also very optimistic to see more female leaders, more young women, more young girls in this space and lead amazing companies and amazing ideas.
Yes. Yeah. And this is one of the most smoothest conversation এতিয়ালৈকে. I mean, মাজত নহলে কিবা কিবি হয়, কেতিয়াবা ইন্টাৰনেট কাট খায়, কেতিয়াবা কি কাট খায়, মই মাজে টাইমো চাইছো 40 মিনিট হল নেকি, এতিয়া কাট খাব চাগে, but okay, things went really well and the conversation was
when it's meant to be, it's always meant to be. That's
what I still have the clips from the first podcast. I'll see if I can fit it somewhere just to make it little entertaining, but yeah, again, yes, it was really amazing talking to you, Drishti. Thank you so much
for having me.
It's my pleasure. And it was really great. And I think we'll have one more session someday. We'll decide on a topic and, deep dive on it.
Sure. It would be my pleasure.
Great. Perfect. Okay then. Chalo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.